What's up everybody, Belligerent here with another Bloodline video, and in today's video we're going to talk about Vigor. Vigor is a very important part of the game and a very important part for your progression, and a lot of people are freaked out because they changed the Vigor system, and I've even talked about it, and yes, it's imbalanced right now, but we have to deal with what it is right now, and right now it's imbalanced, and that's fine. Doesn't mean you should ignore it because they changed the way that we get it. It just means that other people got a head start. Now we have to play catch up. It's not exactly fair, but you know the corny saying, life isn't fair, so get over it. That's kind of what we have to do right now. I don't know if they're going to change it. I have asked repeatedly, and as far as I know, there's no talks in bringing back the old way. So there's no fear in necessarily proceeding forward and investing resources in Vigor. They may at some point in the future change it again. They may at some point in time in the future give us, a better way to do it, but I don't think it's coming anytime soon. Could be completely wrong. And I don't think that you should stop your Vigor progression in hopes that someday they change it, because you're just going to keep falling further and further back. You can get more resources, save up your diamonds, save up your rings as time moves on, and you can just get more. So let's jump into Vigor. Let's talk about what it is, what we're doing, and how you get it, and all of this good information. So first and foremost, let's just talk basics. What is Vigor? So Vigor is bonus stats. It affects 3 different stats. Vigor is bonus stats that you get when you marry champions. So if we take a couple of champions here, we can see that we're going to get Vigor. Where do we see it? It's this big box up above our champions. So now there's some things to understand, and I'm just going to tell you some facts. You can go test these if you want. I'm not going to spend time in the video proving them to you. I think I've proven myself that what I say I usually test. Okay, so the first thing to understand is Vigor is a range, and you don't this isn't something you have to test. It shows you right here. Okay, there's 3 stats that Vigor affects. It's going to be Constitution, Strength, and Fortitude. Now, how much experience you get determines how much of this bar you're going to fill up. When you fill up the bar, you go to the next Vigor level. Now, you'll see in this particular case, this marriage will net me somewhere between 1,056 and 1,584 Constitution Vigor experience. Okay? That's what makes Vigor tricky, is that it's a range. It's not a set amount. I can't say if you marry champion A to champion B, you get this much Vigor. So it's hard to know if methods that I'm testing are actually yielding better or worse results, or if I'm just getting bad rolls. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. Again, if you're getting different results, if you think you have a better way, I want to hear about it. So let me know in the comments, or come on over to our Discord, join our community, let me know what's going on with your Vigor experience. But right now, that's where we're at with this. Okay, so the other thing to know is that what affects how much experience you're getting in your Vigor levels is solely the spouse champion. It has nothing to do with your main champion. Your main champion is going to be the champion that you get. It's going to be the one that has the Vigor stats. But how much you get from the marriage is determined by the spouse champion. Okay, so that's one thing to understand. Also, understand that levels do not affect Vigor. I can even show you that real quick. If we level this guy up, okay, he still gives us the same 1056 to 1584. So levels don't affect the champion as far as how much Vigor they give. So that's another thing to understand. Okay, the other thing to understand is each class gives different results. So you see right here, and when I talk about this, I'm going to talk about the max range rather than constantly saying between 1056 and 1584. I'm just going to talk about the max range, and I'm always going to be talking about Constitution. Yes, there are 3 different stats, but I'm not going to say Constitution, right? We're just talking about, I'm just going to use Constitution when I talk about the numbers, okay? unless I have to specifically talk about one of the other numbers. But right now, we're marrying an assassin. Okay, the spouse champion is an assassin. Actually, they're both assassins, but the spouse champion is an assassin, getting 1584. If I were to change this to a marksman, now we get 1485. Different stats. Okay, and if we change this again to, let's say, a tank, again, different stats, 2376. Okay. Now, the other thing to understand is that it is class specific, not clan specific. Let me say that again. Class specific, not clan specific. So watch, if I do this and I put in another marksman, there's our 1485 again, 990 to 1485. And in case you forgot, let me pop back over here to the other marksman, 990 to 1485. So that proves to us that it's class, not clan, that determines how much experience you're going to get. Okay. Now, their clans or different classes are like, it's progressively better. I'm not going to give you the full list because I don't think it matters. Because here's what affects the number. Okay, what affects the number are your traits, and specifically the level of the traits. And that's why I can show you that 2 marksmen with the same exact level of traits is going to give you the same exact level of results, because we're using all level 1 traits. Okay, but if we switch this to a mythic champion that has level 20, 21, and 22 traits, look at what happens to our experience number. Now we're talking 16,888. Okay, so it's the level of traits, and you can think about it as a cumulative level, right? So this particular champion, if you add up the level of all his traits, is 105, right? 22, 44, 65 plus 40 is 105. Now let's see if we can find a champion that has higher number than 105. Okay, so if we look through some of this, that's 22, 44, 66, 88, 108. Let's check out this guy. You see now his is bigger than the 16,888. His is 17,253. So what is going to give you the best vigor results? It's going to be a champion with all level 22 traits. Now, is that necessarily relevant? No. Because if you're doing this, you're just going to breed a whole bunch of your level 22 mythic champions, and whatever traits they come out with, they come out with. Don't sit there and try to only pick the ones that have all level 22 traits. It's not a big enough difference for it to be worth your time, and it's just going to slow you down. But the point to understand is higher traits mean higher experience. Okay? Now we've determined this. So here's something else that we need to determine, because before the previous iteration of Vigor, the best way to build Vigor was to marry a clan trait onto a common and then bounce that clan trait back and forth between a common to guarantee that that clan trait was moving, because there was a clan trait bonus. It's no longer that way. But is it still beneficial to do the same thing with a level 22 trait? Okay. I bet you can guess the answer. The answer is no, because again, it's the total level of traits. But I'm going to show you just so that you know. Okay, so here I'm going to show you. We're going to use a common champion. We're going to use this guy, and if you didn't notice, I have him marked. I have him leveled up to level 80, so we know that we're using the same one. And now what I've done is I married a level 22 trait onto a common champion, this one right here, and she is level 40, so we know that we're talking about the same one. Okay, so you see there she has a level 22 trait and a level 1 trait, so we could theoretically bounce this back and forth to determine whether or not, bouncing a level 22 trait matters. Okay, so let's look at the vigor levels we're going to get with her. It's going to be 28,737. Now, let's put in a mythic champion. Same champion, same, only been married once. You can tell by the vigor level. She is also at vigor level 3. And because she has more higher level traits, the experience level is vastly different. So you can see that the best way to generate vigor is to marry level 22 mythic champions to your main champion. Okay, but there is also some tactics and some tricks to talk about rather than just throwing level 22 champions at your main champion. Okay, so now let's get into that. Let's talk about that and what specifically the best strategies or best practices for marrying your vigor are. Okay, so let's take a look at a few things for you to understand about the vigor and how it works. Okay, so when we are talking about getting vigor, I already told you, like, these bars are what matters. When you fill them up, you progress to the next vigor level. Here's the catch though. All 3 bars have to fill up before you will go to the next vigor level. So you can actually reach a point where, if you look at this, because this champion has been married a few times, okay, you're going to end up with zeros. And this is something you want to avoid because you're losing experience. Right? We're going to get constitution experience, but the rest of this champion is being wasted as far as vigor levels are concerned. So we want to avoid that. But there is something else you have to avoid that I don't know if other people are necessarily catching. Let's take a look at it this way. So now if I put in this champion and I marry him to this other champion that already has vigor, right? If you look at these, we're getting green stats. Right, on the other one, it was showing us 0 out of 0. We weren't getting any green stats. This one, we're getting green stats. It looks like we're getting experience. And we're getting a little bit, but I want you to look specifically at the strength and the fortitude. Do you see what I see? There's no range. It's 1705 to 1705. There's no range. So what does that tell you? That's the same thing as getting zeros because you're not getting your full vigor experience. So this is not a good marriage to do either. Right? It doesn't matter if we're doing this marriage that gives us no vigor experience. Again, you see down here 0, 0, 0. Okay? That doesn't matter because, or that's something we want to avoid because we're not getting our full vigor experience. Well, so was the other one. We weren't getting our full vigor experience. So you want to be careful when you're playing around with those things. So what if I flip-flop it? What if I put the big guy in here? Again, no experience change. All right, so let me show you something that you can do. Let's look at it a different way. See if we can find a way to actually do this and get full experience. So if I take this male Trevane, which is at level 11 vigor, and I just throw in a female Trevane here. Okay, you see, again, strength, fortitude at zeros. All right, so let's take a look at her. She's at level 5, so that way we know we're talking about the same champion. When I back out of here, if we come back in, if we just switch it, if we just flip-flop it, so I'm going to take the level 5 female Trevane and put in the male Trevane with 11 vigor. Look at what we have now. We have ranges on all of them. So by just flip-flopping this marriage, I can do this marriage that I was trying to do in reverse, right? Again, I'll show you. The male with level 11 vigor and the female who's at level 5 not getting our experience. Okay, so you can play around with that to find the right combination of marriages to get your full Vigor experience. Okay, so watch out for that, because I think some people are making that mistake when you talk about, I'm going to build up one champion and then marry it to my main champion. Well, if you're not getting a range, you're not getting your full Vigor stats. Okay, so the final thing that I want you to understand about Vigor, and I kind of mentioned it before, it's not the same. Like, Vigor does not translate the same across all classes. What do I mean by that? Okay, so if I take a female marksman and I want to put my level 11 onto her, we see that it's going to give us level 12 Vigor. Okay, but if I change that, and instead of a marksman, I put in, I don't even know if I have any. All right, we'll back up. So here, I'm going to put in, that's a marksman, right? So it's the same thing. We're going to get level 12, marksman. Remember, levels, rare, your main champion, that's my bad. Your main champion doesn't matter. So again, I'll show you this just so you see it. The marksman, we're going to get to level 12. But if I put in, let's say, an epic tank, now we're only going to get to level 9. Okay. And then if I put in an epic warrior, now we're going to get to level 11. So what does that mean? It really means absolutely nothing other than different classes take different amounts of Vigor to reach the next level, or to reach the highest level. So again, this is what makes Vigor challenging for me to explain it to you, because not all Vigor is made the same. But that doesn't mean you should put Vigor on marksmen and not on tanks, because tanks get less experience. No, you need to level the champions that you're playing, right? Your main champions are the ones you need to be ultimately putting your Vigor on. But just understand that if you're like using marksman like I am, because level 22 Trevane is something I've told all of you to do. It's a very common companion to push to level 22. So if you're using marksman, when you go to transfer that Vigor onto your tank, say, just know that if you're using level 11 Vigor, it's not going to be level 11 when you put it on a tank. It's going to be less, and that's going to vary between all of the classes. So it really means nothing. It doesn't mean avoid putting Vigor on those champions. It just means that different classes take different amounts of Vigor. Watch your stat levels. Try not to burn Vigor XP. Try to keep yourself making progress where every marriage matters. Because Vigor does matter to your progress. In another video where I'm going to explain to you just how much and what kind of effect and how much your resources should you be pointing at Vigor, or how much of your resources should you be pointing towards Ascension. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you have any thoughts or better strategies that I don't know about, let me know in the comments. Or better yet, come join us at the Discord. The Discord link is in the description below. Like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend. I'm Belligerent. Peace.